Did you see the Bungie news? It seems Destiny 2 might actually die and Marathon is apparently garbage. The new Marathon game? That doesn't surprise me. Like, Bungie's been shit for ages. You guys know that, right? Like, the Destiny games. Any live service looter shooter, you know, grind out every little notch in the... like, yeah, dude, these games, man. Yeah, obviously. Destiny is the video game version of content. Yeah, I really wish people would stop giving these studios money, dude. There are very few AAA studios that are actually worth giving money to these days. Very, very few, and only sometimes. Alan Wake 2 is amazing. I've actually heard that. I'm going to watch Joseph Anderson play it in a bit. I don't care to play it myself. How do you feel about Monster Hunter World? Just World? I thought World was good, but I didn't really participate in the Forever game portion of it. I still think Forever games are dumb. Destiny made me so upset because Bungie had the most goodwill any company has ever had in the history of the industry, and they went and made something bog standard and boring. It's almost like there's something about AAA game development and the way that the funding and the actual construction process works that tends to incentivize studios to make really safe, boring games, you know? Like, it's almost like inevitably, if a studio gets large and successful enough, everything that originally made them good will be boiled down into the same homogenous slop they can sell to people with, like, the greatest possible projected return. It's pretty bad. I don't know. Bungie revenue down 45% per year? Really? Bungie revenue 45. Destiny 2 is running some 45% below revenue projections for the year. Holy shit. Oh, yeah, I heard about the Bungie layoffs. This just happened, too. There was that person on Twitter who anonymously was like, yeah, basically, they asked us to come into work for a meeting, and by the time I got there, they'd already broken the news that everyone was fired. No warning. People were sobbing as they cleaned their desks out. I love that. I love how a studio can have more money than God and be doing super well, and then just make shit because the developers want to play at risk averse for the investors, and then when anything goes poorly, the people who suffer are the people who actually worked on it, and not the people who made the bad decisions that led to it making less money. That's cool. That's great. I love that. Love that. It's really, really, really bad. The entire Destiny playbase is trying to get the CEO of Bungie fired and the studio unionized. Yep. Unions would fix this. Well, unions would make this better. Unions would mitigate this, not fix it entirely. Class conscious. It's only been you who's been saying it. What about the opposite extreme of AAA development, Star Citizen? 10 years of dev and likely 10 more to go. I don't feel like Star Citizen is a really good counterexample because Star Citizen is kind of like the exception that proves the rule, right? Like, it's the one thing everyone points to. Yeah, there are games that don't go that well in terms of like indie development or whatever. You know, there are plenty of times that you'll see games that are not AAA that don't go that well. But like, the more money a studio has, the less accepting we should be of this bullshit. Like, seriously, you know, the logic should be the more money a studio has, the more quality they're able to put into their products. I feel like that's pretty obvious, right? Yeah. Star Citizen isn't even really an indie game. It's a Kickstarter scam. That's true. They fired Michael Salvatore as the guy who's been... Michael Salvatore? Seriously? How do you fire a guy like that? Been composing music for Bungie games since the 90s. It's like firing John Williams. It's not a scam. Actually research the game. Benjamin, how did I know you would be like an unironic Star Citizen stan? Game development is so fucked, man. It's so bad. I feel like the real problem is just that people soy the fuck out over video games and are completely incapable of like objectively... I guess this is the case for all media. It's not just video games. The difference is no other form of media has anything like a live service game, you know? Even a bad movie, like it comes out and it comes out. It's what, 2 hours long? Like that's that. But then people will sink like lives into a specific game. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with having a game you play a bunch, but like that capability really destroys people, you know? What's the difference between WoW and Forever games for you? I mean, it's not. WoW is a Forever game. I think that like for a time, raiding in WoW was like the absolute upper echelon of the quality possible in that type of game. Especially because the guild system means that there's like a social element as well. Though a lot of games have versions of that. But it got worse and worse and worse with time, right? Like raiding was the raiding high period for sure was definitely like Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor. Was that after? Oh god, I'm like missing my steps. Legion. I don't even remember the expansions. But there's so much time gatey content. Never played MMOs, Vosh. What was raiding like? I think the main thing that made me feel better about raiding is that raiding always offered you a fresh challenge. So I'm going to like kind of paint with a broad brush here because I've never played Destiny 2. But my opinion of this game based on what I've seen is that all the content has been the same for the past decade. The basic fundamentals of like the looting, the shooting, the rolling around, the shooting people, like whatever, are basically the same. You get different enemies sometimes in different maps, but like it's the same game. You could like randomize all of it and then pull it from a bucket, and it's like you have the same slop. And maybe it's fun slop, though I'm not gonna lie. From the videos that I've seen, it really doesn't look fun, like at all. But whatever. The thing that made raiding more interesting to me was the fact that it had tiered progression, where there were absolute, objective, undeniable distinctions between these raids that made every one of them feel like unique challenge and puzzle to solve. That was the real fun. The real fun with a raid is new raid just drops. Hope your guild is ready. You get on normal, and then you crush normal, because I only ran with guilds that would crush normal. And then you get up to heroic, and it's like, okay, now we have to take it seriously. Like, look at all these mechanics. And because of how complicated raids were, like, every boss was like, you have to keep in mind like 50 things. And I was the raid lead, and I didn't have dungeon boss mods because I'm a big dick Chad. And I was the lead healer. So with no mods on my screen, I would have to scream out timers for like 50 different mechanics and keep like 20 dudes' positions perfect while running around keeping everyone topped off. And then we do that through heroic, and then you get to try it on mythic, you know? And it's like, hey, that's pretty fun. And it's like, that's a very distinct and engaging system of mechanics to engage with. And I just don't feel the same about most other Forever games. I don't feel the same way about games that are designed to drain your life away, like League of Legends or whatever, or Valorant or any other like competitive multiplayer game that just makes people mad when they play it. I don't feel the same way about these like looter shooter PvE games that just grind every mechanic down into like a homogenous gray goo that you consume without even realizing how much time has passed. Yeah, I don't know. I really hate them. I hate them. I do. I've known, like, I've seen so many people too in my community who are like, you know, I took your advice and I stopped playing games like that and I feel much better now. Yeah, Overwatch too. Did people in the raid grind use online guides right in release? Not always. It's gotten more common. It took me a moment to recover, but did you say Mists of Pandaria was top tier rating? The f you talking about? Are you a infant? Mists of Pandaria? Are you Orgrimmar? Throne of Thunder? Are you kidding? Well, absolutely. Yeah, Mists of Pandaria was top tier rating. Absolutely, 100%. Peak. Yeah. I actually think Mists of Pandaria was the best WoW expansion personally, but people aren't ready for that hot take, hot opinion, big hot opinion take. It sounds like it's less the model and more how it's abusively designed. Yeah, but this model is like maximized for abusive design, you know? Like, it is true that you can make a good game out of anything, but this particular way of making a game is like maximally likely to produce these outcomes, these bad outcomes. It's not good. It's not good, I don't think. Do you consider factory games as forever games? Yeah, they can be. I prefer ones that have an ending. I've been playing a bit of Factorio. I know you can build a rocket ship in that. And in Dyson Sphere program, you create the Dyson Sphere. Yeah, seriously, there are so many like really interesting games. There are so many like wonderful artistic experiences out there that people miss out on. Like, in the time it takes you to do nothing that you'll remember on your deathbed in Destiny 2, you could play like 3 indie games off itch.io. One of them like leaves an emotional impact on you. There are so many good games out there. It's just like, you know, yeah. It's not good. Isaac, Gungeon, Hades, all never-ending but still great. Yeah, but those are roguelikes, right? They're in a different category of game, I feel. They're not live service forever games. Is Minecraft a forever game? Okay, any game can be played forever. When I say forever game, I mean a game where the studio is latching its hooks into you and trying to keep you playing forever. Like a game that you could technically play forever. That's like any game, right? You could play Halo 2 forever, single player, by just running around in a circle in the first map. By running around in a circle in the first map. Like, any game can be played forever. I'm talking about these really cynically designed, like, AAA studio games that are... Remember Anthem? Does anyone on God's green earth remember the game Anthem? What about like all of the superhero cape shit versions of these games, like Gotham Knights or whatever? What about all the shit that studios do to try to hook you into playing a game longer than you would otherwise? Like in the Injustice fighting game, it's like, oh, here's a cool fighting game. I know it'll keep people like hooked on this. What about loot boxes where you can equip gear to these superheroes that give them plus 4% dodge time recovery? And it's like, what does this actually add to the game? What does this actually add to the game experience? Is anyone happy this is here? Or is it just like a cynical way of gripping people's minds with a Skinner box to make you want to get the best gear in every slot, even though like it has a marginal impact on gaming, you know? Yeah, well, gacha games are pretty much like the apex predator of this particular type of cynical bullshit, Mythaldo. Loot boxes should be illegal, not gonna lie. Yeah, they should be. It's loot boxes and it's like bullshit RPG elements. There are so many games that have RPG elements that don't need to have RPG elements. I remember playing BioShock Infinite, and like was actually, didn't this go back all the way to the original BioShock? Where it's like we have a perfectly functional, well-balanced game here. Now also just like randomly choose from this list of 50 upgrades which gun you want to. I don't know. It felt like totally arbitrary. Fallout 76. Destiny 2 raids beat out WoW raids in quality by a country mile. Nice bait. Yeah, this is a great example. The Marathon remake that Bungie is doing was going to be an extraction shooter. For those of you who don't know, watch the Mandalore gaming videos on it. The Marathon games are not only like the precursor lore games of the Halo universe and of everything that Bungie has made, but also they were like really groundbreaking first-person shooters of their time, which is 50 million years ago. And then it's like, how do we make a remake of this? What if we make like the most Call of Duty ass, boring, banal, gray goo template, like go to the artifact, dude, go to the ancient ship and find the loot before, get out of there before the evil AI finds out you're there. Ooh. At least LoL has engaging friend co-op mechanics. League of Legends is a drain on the human soul. Vosh, you never played a Destiny raid. I feel like you don't know enough to compare the way. I don't need to have played Destiny to know that WoW raids are better than Destiny raids. I'm sorry, I genuinely don't. Like I'm very sorry, but like I'm watching you cobble together like a pile of dirt and dog shit off the street and like mash it into a ball while I'm like at a restaurant sitting down having a delicious like rice patty or something. I don't need the experience to tell me. As someone who's played both, you're correct. I know. Is the MOBA genre inherently cursed? I don't think it's inherently cursed. It's just I feel like a lot of people just genuinely do not have fun in. Okay, I think the big problem is when games that have an online competitive focus to them started like leaning into ranked play by default. Like all the way back to StarCraft 1 on BattleNet like 1.0 or whatever. If you wanted to go online and play, you wouldn't like hit a button that linked you up with other people. You would have to go to a list of games that we're playing, and you would find like the map and the name and everything. And you go like, oh, that sounds fun, and you would join it. It's the same with TF2. This is the thing that made TF2 better back in the old days. Rather than having like ranked matchmaking or whatever, or a button you click to get you into a game, you have to go find a server, and that's how you make friends. Finding servers was how you made friends in those games, man. Well, I remember way back when did it come out? 2006? Way back when on TF2, you would just see a big list of servers and you would go, one of them would be called like Cum Fart Shit, and you'd be like, oh, that sounds fun, haha, and you would join it, and then you would like meet some dudes and they'd all be on voice chat like saying slurs, and you'd be like, damn, this is cool, and you would like get to be friends with them, you know. But now whenever you go on an online game and it's like, you know, you just want to play, you hit a button and it just matchmakes you. You're never going to see these people again. And this encourages toxicity. Like, you guys have no idea how much better toxicity used to be, and it was because there was an actual sense of community. Why would anyone treat their opponents or their allies humanly when you're never going to meet them again? Like, it incentivizes the worst possible behavior. Whereas if you're actually joining a server, you could be in that TF2 server for like 3 hours that day. You literally, that server might have like a 40-person cap, and you could just join that server and just be there for like 3 hours. Like, you just get to know these people. You talk about shit, you shit talk each other, but like nobody's going to be a weird, abusive, toxic asshole if there's a server you could just chill on and people can vote kick you if they don't like you. That was the big difference. If there was somebody being a massive asshole in a TF2 server, you would just vote kick them because they were being an asshole. And people cared enough to vote kick them because A, they were in that server long enough to care about the quality of it, and B, because it's not like a one and done game, there's longevity to their decision to kick that person. Whereas in a WoW game, or sorry, not WoW, like League game or whatever, it's like it's one game. And also if you kick a person in a League game, you the game because like you kicked a person. What if the massive asshole was the mod of the server? Then just leave that server and go to another one. I genuinely think that this change in the way that online game matchmaking takes place is like it was like a line cross, like a threshold for the quality of online gaming. I genuinely mean that. Like I really, really, really believe that was like the death of. Like, here's another good example, okay? Here's a good example. Warcraft 3 had these servers that you would join. Like, you would have to manually look for something and join a server, all right? And what did we get from Warcraft 3? We got Dota. We got, like, multiple game genres built out of the Warcraft 3 custom map editor. But how much did you get from that from StarCraft 2? StarCraft 2 had some banger custom maps, I'm not denying that, but like I feel like it hasn't had anywhere near the same cultural impact in spite of the fact that StarCraft 2 A was more popular than Warcraft 3 and B had a much more robust creation engine. So why shouldn't there have been like more genres born of it? Well, I think no, because when you're playing online games in StarCraft 2, the first thing you look at when you open up the game is that big go like ranked matchmake, bing, you know? Does that make sense? Does anyone care about what I'm saying? I actually think this is like a big driver towards alienation right now. I genuinely feel like it is. I will say the only modern genre of online like matchmake whatever game that I think is cool and that there is like a good social element to is the Darktide, Vermintide 2 model, or I guess like Left 4 Dead if you want to go far enough back, or do like with other people and then you do like a list of maps, whatever you want. I feel like that format has more of a potential for social interaction than the most of the other shit online these days. Back for Blood. I haven't played Back for Blood, but yeah, sure. Darktide mentioned. Yeah, well, Darktide fucks plenty of other things up, okay? Like, massively. I'm just talking about, like, the design of the socializing. That's all I'm talking about. I think that can encourage people to get along pretty well. Because I remember playing Left 4 Dead back when I was growing up, and, like, even though sometimes you would only be with a group of people for a little while, because you wouldn't have persistent servers the same way that you did with, like, TF2, in Left 4 Dead 2, man, you got to be friends with some of the people you played with. Because it was funny as dude, like dropping in with 3 other random people and being like, okay, let's navigate this shit. It's like, oh, there's the witch. Like, oh, tank coming. Whoa. Like, there was so much shit that just made it easy to socialize with the people that you were with. And the game really wanted you to talk too, because if you were just using like text, like you were really at a disadvantage when it came to coordination. You need to scream out like where the special zombies were, and if you were getting over by the one that chokes you with its tongue or something. What about Battle Royale games? I think Battle Royale games are a cancer. I think the Battle Royale games most of the time leave most of the people playing them unhappy, and it's the thrill, the dub of the victory royale that keeps them hooked in like a really disingenuous way. Also, a lot of these games have so much downtime, dude. I played a couple seasons of Fortnite from time to time with few friends who are into it, like and most of the game is just like running around, like it's like boring, you know. I didn't care for it. I know I've said this before and I'll say it again, but the two big like MOBA-esque games that I really liked that both died on me were Battle.Right and Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm encouraged cooperative play much more by making everything really team focused, like team deaths, team experience, everything. So get along with your team because you're not going to sit in top, solo everything, and then like come down to mid 35 minutes in and win the game instantly. That was the thing that made Heroes of the Storm fun, because there was never like a gameplay incentive to just sit top and just like do your own thing forever, you know? And also Battle.Right was really fun. Battle.Right was super fun. It's basically like a MOBA with no minions, and you have 50 abilities, and you move around with the mouse, not the mouse and keyboard, with the WASD. So you're like wandering around. It's really fun. Battle.Right's really fun. Also, there was a cute doe game, or a character. Those games were dope, and I hate that they got. Yeah. Isn't all competition about the thrill of winning? Well, no, not really, right? Especially because in a battle royale, there's only like a 1 in 100 chance you actually end up being the winner. So it's like, if that's where your fun's coming from, like, so that's a pretty unequal skew of fun. You can have fun without getting the victory royale, but still, yeah. Man, I miss Battle.Right so much, guys. I had so much fun with that for like the few months that I had in between discovering it and realizing it was a dead game that made me feel really discouraged about it. Oh, look, if you if you YouTube Battle.Right, the top video on it is I miss Battle.Right, frowning, crying face. Battle.Right 3v3 ESL Grand Finals? I didn't realize that was the thing. Currently, the Battle.Right people is are making V Rising, but it's still in early access, so I haven't played it. Battle what? Right, like R-I-T-E, like a rite of passage. Sorry about the noise. Mute. Where's the mute button? Please stop auto-playing. I need to fix that. Just show. Yeah, Battle.Right was like this, basically. There were a couple of things in it that were like truly inspired design, but basically it's a 3v3 on a relatively small map. Just show gameplay. Just show gameplay. I don't just show gameplay. Here. Basically it's 3v3 on a relatively small map. One of the big inspired designs is that healers are very important, but people can only be healed up to a small amount above their current health. So if you take like a huge chunk of 500 damage, but you only have a healing threshold for 200, your new max health to be healed to is now 200 above your current health. Oh, like, so that way, like, healing is good for keeping you topped up, but a healer can't just, like, unnuke you back up to full health. So nuking is really important. But you also want to keep, like, pressure on people because the healer then drains their cooldowns. I've never played Smite. This, unironically, Battle Right was, like, peak. I'm not joking. Battle Right was so good. So it's, like, pseudo stamina. It was a pretty complicated game, I feel. Also, where's the cute deer girl? Battle Right deer girl. Blossom. Also, I just think she's neat. I think she's cute. Hello. Look, she's got the full deer feet and everything. Yeah, not feet, hooves. You know what I mean. Very confirmed. Everyone thinks that Blossom is cute, okay? It's hardly just me. Everyone agrees. Lots of good designs in that game. Hey, does anyone remember the name of that, does anyone remember the name of that? They wanted to do a MOBA, and one of the characters was like a rocker chick on a motorcycle. It barely even made it out of the testing phase. They scrapped it. What was it called? And people have made some inspired art of Blossom. And you know it's real art too, because AI art wasn't a thing back when Battle Right was a popular game. Well, it was never popular, but you know. Dawn Gate. Dawn Gate. That was it. That was it. That game was fun for a bit, but I only got to play a little bit in like the team like open beta or some shit. I don't know. Everyone wanted to copy League of Legends.